What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Flipping Tables. I am your host, Javi.
And I'm Fern.
And we have another special guest with us today. Another one. We have a special guest on special guest on special guest. This is Kimberly Chun. Give it up for her.
Hi, everyone.
Kim is actually a member of the church. She's also on the worship team for a long time. So I don't know, Kim, when did you actually start?
I started at the age of 11.
Wow.
It's been 10 years. So, yep.
Do the math. Do the math. That's a long time. So
she's do the math.
So she's a little, OG, right? And watching her grow up, watching her serve alongside her brother that didn't make it tonight.
That's another podcast.
That's for the other episode.
Yeah.
That's for our event session.
Yeah.
No, it's been amazing, and encouraging as well, right? Because you guys have remained faithful, all these years and serving and now even joining the youth team and serving in different areas, even like Classic Cup, right? The coffee shop. And so it's been amazing, your testimony and everything that you guys are putting forth into the kingdom, So it's a blessing to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And so today's topic is going to be handling money and materialism as a young Christian, right? We're not going to put your business out there and be like, Kim has bread, Kim has Money Mayweather status, but I know that you also, alongside your family, you guys have your own business, right? I don't know if you want to expand on that a little bit, what your business is and things like that.
Sorry, my eyes are tearing up, guys.
Dang, she's crying
already
because she's on the podcast
already. She's like, I never thought I was gonna be
These
here.
testimonies are interesting. I'm just saying, no. Well, like I said, thank you for having me. And yes, it's been a huge blessing. This whole process of having a business, it's not been easy. It's been a lot of tears, sweat, effort, countless hours of no sleep. But all I can say, honestly, it's God's mercy.
Yeah,
that's the whole summary. It's God's mercy.
Yeah,
shown and proven time after time. And I'm so blessed that we don't really work for things like this. And honestly, having a business, it was in my dad's heart. But I know for sure that it had to be in God's heart before.
Amen.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys come from Guatemala as well, right? Were you born there?
I was born in Guatemala, yes.
Wow, okay. How old were you when you came here?
I was 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's almost like my story. Legit, almost similar. And that's amazing, right? Because coming from another country, really like a third world country, to be honest, right?
Really what it is, yeah.
And coming to the U.S., dare to say, right? I'm sure your parents didn't know the language. Maybe you guys had family here, right? I don't know the whole story, but just being able to start a business, like you said, there's a lot of sweat and tears into that and effort, long hours probably. But being able to build it to where it's at now, right? And not just that, I don't know how old you were when your parents started their business or their shop.
So we started during COVID.
Oh, wow.
So it was 2019 and I was I think 18 years old. And we didn't really know exactly what was going to happen during that time because my parents were actually laid off of their job.
Wow.
And the lady that they worked for during that time, she was closing down the shop. So just a backstory, my parents have now probably more than 30 years of being like garment workers back in Guatemala. And then they continued to work in a textile shop here. And so the lady, she was closing down her store. Okay. And obviously because of the whole situation.
Yeah, with COVID and everything.
Yeah. And my parents, they took that leap of faith and they were like, okay, you're closing, but I want to keep going, like sell me your machines. And that's kind of how we started. We were living in the condo during that time and we were on the second floor. And I remember that We had 11 machines. We were all crammed up, but it was what God was providing for. And that's kind of like our humble beginnings.
So you guys worked out of your condo in the beginning?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's a literal sweatshop.
Yeah, little sweatshop. Enough room for four.
Yeah. But we, after that, we moved into like so we have this huge table where we cut, and the lady was actually, there was nobody there. So my dad would just go in, and he still had the keys because my dad was manager at that time. And he would just go in and cut the work and everything. And basically the store that she would work for, by God's grace, we got in their contact and we worked for them.
Wow.
So what she did, we did it. But I feel like, I don't want to say we perfected like what she was already doing, but there was obviously
like an upgrade is what you're saying.
Yeah, like I feel like my dad's ideas, thank you. I feel like my dad's ideas, and just like I said, God's mercy is the reason why we have what we have and who we are.
Amen.
Yeah.
No, I think that's awesome. I mean, just seeing that, right, to where you guys are at now, having a whole shop. And I know you guys just moved to another place, right?
Yeah,
like you actually had a...
Yeah, we had we actually rented out this whole house. Well, not where we are right now, but I mean, like, there was a house that my cousin bought, and we rented out her whole house, and we were working there and at home too. So obviously it was time for another upgrade. And something that we've noticed that's a pattern that God has taken us, is that every time we're squeezed and, we're all, even though, like you said, we're only four, my parents and my brother and I, every time we've experienced that, we already know that that's time for growth.
Yeah.
Expansion's coming.
And it's only been 4 years now.
Wow.
But right now we just moved into a new location in Laurel, and it's so convenient. It's like 11 minutes from my house, and the shop, the warehouse is huge. And honestly, I told my dad, don't make plans on staying here too long, because I'm pretty sure we're about to move again. And surely orders have been
coming in
exponentially growing. So we're already getting tight again.
Wow.
So I'm just thankful because during COVID is when we started, and you would see a lot of stores closing down and a lot of people losing their job, just like my parents did. But like we're learning at church, where the enemy tried to destroy you, that's where God is going to use you to actually bless other people. And we have employees, and I'm glad because we share the message with them too. At work, we're listening to Christian music all the time. And my dad, he puts predicas, so preachings to bless their life as well. And I would say that almost all of them have at least gone to our church at least once.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And 2 people have been saved. Thanks to God.
Yeah.
So glory to him.
Yeah.
And I just feel like because of that honoring perspective, he has been faithful. He has just been good.
It really does sound like he has. And like you said, sometimes it takes a whole lot of hard work and effort to get something started. And I feel like sometimes people only see like the hype of it all, but they don't see like the struggle of how to get things going.
That's true.
I know that when I initially started my business, I was doing crazy stuff like driving 2 hours away to like work on a project, and because it didn't make economical sense to drive back and forth, I would literally just take a sleeping bag and stay in the empty house. It'd be cold sometimes because there's like no power or whatever it is that's going on. But it was just like the sacrifice of having to say, all right, well, it's a phase that we're doing, but if we want to get to the next level, you have to put in, like you said, some tears, some hard work. Sometimes it's a lot of blood. Sometimes you almost lose a finger, but it is what it is. It's just part of
That's another story. My dad has almost lost his finger twice.
I kid you not. Like when you guys see it on my Instagram, I put flesh in there, but like I had 11 stitches on my finger. And it's crazy because I'm normally like a stickler for like safety glasses and gloves and all that stuff. And the one time I didn't have them on, boom, almost lost that one. So, but going back to what you're saying, it's like, it's crazy to hear it you know, like how much growth you've had in 4 years, and now you're expecting more expansion. That's God gives and God takes, and He's definitely giving right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty cool to hear
I
that.
think that's like literally trusting God. You know what I mean? Like running in faith, right?
Mhm.
Like walking by faith and running by faith, because you're like, all right, God, like, I mean, I'm sure your dad had a dream, right? Your dad had a goal in mind, and he's like, I would love to have my shop where I can do this. But maybe you and your brother's dream is like, how can I expand my parents' vision into having a huge location or multiple locations, or I want to be working um and making, you know, shirts or t-shirts or hats or whatever for this person,
Mm-hmm.
right? um and you guys are literally like doing that, you know, and it's in a scary time, right? To be doing it in a scary time where not just COVID, but now with the inflation,
Yeah.
right? And people are like, no, like we got to save our money because you know, we don't know where the economy is going to
Yeah.
go. And you guys are like, nah, it's time to
Keep
go
going.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, that's like literally walking by faith. And I'm so glad to hear that, because, and I know we're kind of stepping away, right? Like you guys have a business, you start a business, and we were talking about it before where like I'm in real estate. Technically, I'm my own business,
Yeah.
right? Like if I didn't want to work today, I don't have to go to work today. But guess what? I didn't make no money.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so, like I was telling her, like today I had a settlement. After settlement, I was like, I'm not that busy. I'm gonna go hoop. I went to the gym, went to go hoop. It was like 2, 3 p.m. I'm hooping. And I went home,
You're
took a
part-timing
shower.
it today.
Yeah. And then I come here, right? So she's like, dang, real estate is easy. I'm like, but you know, you don't know that you have to work holidays,
Yeah.
weekends, like Sunday before church. I went to go show.
Yeah.
After church, I went like an hour away to go show. It took me an
Yeah.
hour and a half to get back home. So you don't see all that, right? I know you guys work after church sometimes too, because you have orders that you have to
Fulfill. Yeah.
fulfill,
Mhm.
right? On by a certain date. And so, but like if I want to make X amount of dollars, I also have to put in the same effort, the same, you know, work,
Yeah.
and the same hours. If I'm okay with making minimal whatever, then I can have half days.
Yeah.
I can afford to wake up at 10 and just get my day started at 1 and then go to the gym and, you know, be in and out. But if you actually want to make it grow, you got to put in effort, right? And obviously, like with that, you know, we talk about materialism. And I remember before I really knew you guys and like you and your brother Eric, you know, I always saw you guys from afar. And I'm not a very, you know, don't get me wrong, like I'm not a very materialistic person as far as like brands and like, because I'm more of like on the athletic wear side. So I'm looking at Jordans, I'm looking at sneakers, I'm looking
Yeah.
at Nike. And so I didn't know anything about like Burberry, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all that. Right.
I still don't
But
know who Burberry is. That's the first time I hear about it.
but I do remember seeing like your brother.
Out of style, so you're okay.
But I remember like you know, seeing your brother with like some Gucci sneakers, right? And then I went to go search them up, and then I was like, dang, you know, I'm thinking like, all right, J's are 200, 250. So I'm like, okay, that's a pretty penny for some sneakers. And then I'm seeing these like 2, 3 times the price, and I'm like, oh, they different, you know?
Like we're gonna revert back to high school days.
Yeah, but
I'm about to go jump up and take a shoot.
Oh my God. No, but like
I never did that.
I'm not incriminating myself.
Exactly.
Nah, but
This
then
is
it's
all
like
jokes. This is just for fun and entertainment.
you get to know you guys, right? As we get to know you and you know, we continue seeing you guys serving in church and seeing your heart, then it's like these young people are still very, very humble and very kind and generous, right? Because there's been times where, you know, we've had lunch.
Yeah.
Like I've had lunch with your brother a couple of times now, and he's like, bro, don't worry. Even when I'm like, what my initial intent was like, I'm gonna treat him today. He's like, no, bro, I got you. You know? And it wasn't like I was begging for it, you know? It's just generosity out of your heart, right? And then your parents too, with my mother, right? You guys they have outings and stuff like that too. So
Very close friendship.
yeah, and in a culture where like if you show up to school with like an off-white t-shirt or off-white sneakers, you're you're the top and you're the cool kid, and don't talk to me because you're wearing Chucks. right? Your $40 chucks versus my $700 sneakers. Like, you can't talk to me,
On my level.
right? But it's not, I think for, it just like for me, it's not what I like, what I wear doesn't make me. I think for you guys,
More
it's the
or
same
less
thing.
valuable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, as you were talking, I kept thinking about like God knows what to give you when. Because I think for me, one of the things that has kept me humble is that, like we were talking, I wasn't born here. So when I moved here, it was a whole learning curve. So
Yeah.
having like multiple experiences where maybe I was the outcast or I didn't have, I don't know, name what you want, but I feel like that experience taught me a lot of ways of being humble and not changing because of people or the situation. And I feel like when, as a family, because we all work together, when it was God's timing, it's when, when He glorifies Himself, but also He knows that your heart won't grow distant from Him just because He blessed you or He allowed the blessing to come at that time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's something for me too, like where I've even like really, I prayed about that for my own personal sake, right? Where I'm like, God, like, I really want to make it big. Like, I really want to live a little bit more, less carefree, right? Where it's like, man, I can't spend on this because I gotta pay bills and, or more or less like paycheck to paycheck lifestyle, right? So, but then I question myself and I'm like, when I have made a little bit more money, am I a good steward of that? And maybe, yeah, I don't blow it and I'm not just spending it and I'm not just buying stuff,
Yeah.
but maybe I'm just not as generous,
Yeah.
right? I did see that homeless lady on the corner. And I mean, I don't carry cash anyways, but I could have been like, hey, are you hungry? I could treat you to something to eat,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
I feel like that's like what you were saying about Eric and how he, and also my parents, it's just a culture that my parents have taught us. My grandparents from my dad's side, they're still alive, but from my mom's side, they're not alive. So my dad, he honors, I see it all the time. He honors my grandparents. He makes sure that their health is well.
Yeah.
They've gone to visit the doctor, gone for their glasses, medicine, food, house, a nurse at home so that they
Wow.
could be taken care of.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I just feel like, and he said it, when he does that, he knows that he's honoring his parents. And the word is true when it says honor your father and your mother,
Mm,
and
that's good.
and you will be fruitful and you will live a long life here on
Yeah.
earth. And he tells us I'm in the room when he's talking with my grandparents and I talk to them as well, but they're like, oh, thank you, gracias mijo, que Dios te bendiga, because that's all that they can do, right? And
Yeah.
honestly, my dad, that's all he wants back,
Yeah.
the blessing.
Yeah.
And he's like, what I take as a blessing, I give it to you guys as well.
Nice.
So I feel like that's also that goes back to obedience, like we were saying, like also with tithings and offerings, that shouldn't be when you receive your paycheck, you shouldn't be like, but
If
I
I
want to go
want
out to eat
to.
today.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I want to do this weekend. It shouldn't. It like, why are we so punctual with bills and stuff like that, and we can't be
Punctual
punctual
tithing.
with and obedient with what the scripture tells us?
Yeah.
And there's a blessing behind that. So why not?
Yeah. And
You
that
know.
falls into just not just obedience, but being a good steward,
Yeah.
right? Of what you've been given, like
Mhm.
what you've received and what you can do for others, right? Because like you said, why are we so punctual with bills? But when money is tight, I can't tithe this check. I can't tithe because that other bill's coming,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've even seen it too, where I'm um, like I tithe, right? And sometimes I'm like, God, like I'm short. I'm gonna be short, but I'm tithing, and then I'm like, I didn't bring lunch. I'm not planning to eat lunch because I'm
Mhm.
short, right? And then somebody's like, hey, bro, let's go get lunch, and then they pay for it. Or we all of a sudden we had a meeting at work and
Mhm.
those people brought food, right? And I'm like, dang, God, like
Come
you
through.
still provided, not the way I thought, where he was gonna make that money in the bank grow all of a sudden. Like I was gonna check it again, and then I was gonna have extra money in there.
Extra zero
Yeah.
somewhere.
But he still provided, right?
Yeah.
He was still faithful and providing, just in a different way. Not what I thought, but that goes to show, like, if you're a good steward, right, then God's gonna take care of the rest.
And it's like scripture says, right? If you're faithful in the few, he can set you as Lord amongst many.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and I think that everyone's going to go through that same struggle where it's like you said, like, oh, this is tight. How do I make it happen?
Mhm.
But it's like you said with your parents, you know, it's a whole leap of faith. It's just trusting and believing in what scripture is teaching them. And the fact that they go through the whole process, you know, like I've been in a situation right now recently where my parents have been struggling, and not being able to like give as much as I want has to a certain point like weighed heavy on me, you know? But to see that God continues to provide, and even right now, um, with our workload, in the wintertime, construction normally goes down. It's just the nature of it, right? Things get slow, the days are slower, and even then, you know, I'm still seeing the consistency of God's mercy. Where we're continuing to put in work. The guys are going to be busy all winter long, you know, and they're going to have work. They're pumped up. I'm pumped up. The company's looking well. They're not sending anybody home. So it's like we even had to move some of the guys from like the restoration side into the building side just so that they can stay busy, because we have a lot of work just laying around. So it's like, it's trusting that he has a better plan for you, and knowing, because one thing is to just say, oh yeah, from de la boca para afuera, right? To say, yeah, I trust in God, but to wholeheartedly just say, hey, I'm in your hands.
Yeah.
Everything is
Let
in your
go.
hands, and you let go of it. That's like the biggest thing, to let go of it. And I can say this from like a father point of view, not being in control, it's probably one of the hardest things for a father, not being able to like, or having to let go of a responsibility, knowing that it's yours. That in itself, it's a whole psychological issue for a father. You know, at least I can speak for myself, but I'm pretty sure a lot of fathers would agree that we're not the type of people to go, especially in our culture. Guys are not going to get into their feelings and be like, oh, you know, I'm really sad because I'm really stressed because, like, we don't do all that, you know, but it's like a burden that you still have to carry and you still have to hold. And to hear that, you know, the principle, to see how you're saying, hey, my father has been faithful with what he's been planning with his vision, and God has been faithful to him, and to see the multiplication, because he can't even say addition, right? At this point, he's multiplying the blessings that you guys have, and within 4 years, that's pretty impressive. I like that. I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you. And I feel like, honestly, like Javi was saying, when you worry about serving the Lord, he'll take care of everything else. And I've seen that a lot with my parents too, because I mean, Eric and I were first gen students, so it's like a struggle too, because we're never able to relate back to my parents, like, oh, help me with this homework, or like, how do I get to college, or how do I apply for scholarships? And I just see the grace of God poured on my parents to give them the wisdom to know how to manage a company, because it's not simple, it's not easy. And I mean, they didn't go to school for it.
Yeah.
But
It's intense.
I've seen how God can give wisdom to whoever asks for it. And there's also, the Bible also says, you know, ask and receive. So I've seen it and I can testify to it. So I feel more like my faith also increases when I am in the middle of the whole process. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like Solomon, right? God asked him, like, what do you want? And he said, I want wisdom. And because he asked for wisdom, that pleased God, and he gave him more than what he even asked for, right? Riches and all the wisdom.
Everything came as a add-on,
Yeah.
versus him just saying, I want riches, I want to be king, I want my kingdom to. He just kept adding more to it. It's important sometimes for people to really see the importance of seeking God first, because scripture says, seek first the kingdom of heaven and its justice. And people forget that last part, right? When you're looking for justice, you're talking about doing the right thing, being righteous, about doing what's right all the time when no one's watching, right? So when it says, look first for the kingdom of heaven and his justice, and everything else will come, and it will come in abundance. So people sometimes they just fall in love with the idea of having everything abundantly, you know, but when they're giving opportunities, sometimes we start complaining like, oh, I have to go do this.
Yeah.
I have to go do that. And I heard this not too long ago where someone was saying that when you get to the point where all you do is, I have to, I have to, I have to, whether you're intentional or not about it, all you're really doing is you're complaining about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets to the point where you feel a burden over the opportunities that you're getting versus saying, oh, I get to do this, I get to do that. And now, again, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, now you're just declaring abundance of all the things that you get to do, all the opportunities that you get to have, you know? So it's like knowing the difference and knowing that God comes first and then everything else comes in abundance. That's sometimes it's key to life, but sometimes it's very hard for people to define what that is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we do feel like success comes in the materialism, right? That, or the material stuff that you can acquire, the assets you can acquire, the cars you have, the house you have, the land you have. If it was Kenya's, the chickens that you can acquire, you know, like all that sort of stuff is the type of things that people tend to look for, and that's defining your success. Whereas your father might say, hey, I found my success. I have my small business and now it's growing, but I can take care of my family. And not just my immediate family, I can take care of my parents too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That to me speaks more volume than someone that can have all kinds of assets and all kinds of cars and all the
Right.
fancy stuff. I'm not big on any brands, to be honest. I wouldn't be able to tell you what's in my closet and what brands they are. I just know that Kenya goes out and says, hey, I'm throwing this out and I'm putting this one in, just FYI. And I'm like, okay. And sometimes it says, hey, she's like, I put this in here weeks ago. How come you haven't worn it? I was like, I don't know. It's just, I haven't gotten that far down the closet because I always use everything that's right here, you know? So it's like, it's, I get to the point and I get it. Like, she also tells me I'm the type of guy who's, I'm gonna go on stage on chucks and preach for my $40 chucks if that's what it takes, you know, because I haven't been more about what I'm wearing. It's really more as like, what can I give, you know? And I might not be able to be generous with money, but I can be generous with my time. I can be generous with the word. I can be generous when I see someone in need, you know? It's 4:30, I need to go, but someone at work says or opens up their heart and starts saying, hey, I'm going through this. And I'm like, all right, let's get it. You know, it's like, yeah, I got to leave in 20 minutes, but let's see what you have.
Yeah.
And if it takes 20 minutes, great. If it takes 40, an hour, hour and a half, I just know that, or at least I feel like God's calling me for more than just teaching on a Sunday or preaching on a Sunday. I feel like church is not just what you do in a building, but church is what you do outside, right? The discipleship is what you do on a daily basis with the people you live with.
Yeah, I mean, huge props to your parents too, right, for keeping you guys involved. Because I know you and your brother have pretty big responsibilities in the business, right?
Well, I mean, when we started, we were all crammed up. And during COVID, what would a lot of people do? Be on their phones, watching TV, catching up on episode series. I couldn't be found on my phone by my parents because I had to. That's another thing. So when my parents came,
hey, this is where we're getting to the bench. This is where it gets real, okay? Dale. They're not watching anyways.
Maybe. I'll share the link. Where was I? Oh yeah. So when I was 8 years old, was when I first heard about like take your child to work, and I would always try to go to their job. And their boss, she would always like take me out because she didn't want me inside. And that makes sense. A kid with a, but I always had it in my heart that I wanted to learn what they knew because it looked cool. And when you're a kid, you look up to your parents and whatever they do, it's cool. So I wanted to learn and I never had the chance until we started the business. And I remember I would be practicing at night, so that I would be able to catch up and have a good endurance for the day. And although you're sitting down, you can get tired. You can get tired of sitting down. And I learned how to use all the machines in less than 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it was because I would stay up at night and like practice slowly. And that's how I was able to like get faster at doing what I do.
Yeah. No, I was going to say props to them, right? Because I feel like, again, and I think we see it a lot in people that people that have their businesses and they've blown up, and then their kids are like spoiled.
Yeah.
And when it's their turn to take over the business,
They can't. They have
they
to sell.
run it into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And so like what their parents worked hard to build, they destroyed it, right? Because they just didn't know. And so props to your parents to keeping you guys involved in the loop as far as like the business side and also like the labor side of it, right? Being like, this is how you do it. This is our level of quality that we want. And, because if not, you would be like, you would do a sloppy job and think it's good and
just move on.
Right. And that's what has allowed your business to keep growing, right? If you do a great job, that person's satisfied, they're going to come back or they're going to refer you to somebody. And that's just how, you keep getting more orders or more contracts with certain people. And so, props to them too, to not just show you like, not just be good examples of, being generous and being humble, but also showing you guys the responsibility side and also giving you guys responsibilities. Right, because you also feel the weight of the business if you don't do your part.
Yeah, that's
right.
true.
If you took an order, and then you didn't fulfill it on time because you didn't, spread the workload, well enough, or you calculated wrong, whatever, that reflects bad on the whole business, not just you.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Eric, who's not here,
Mm.
who's being looked down upon right now. But the thing is that he does a lot. He's studying to become a civil engineer, but he actually wanted to take a small break only because the business was just moving on too fast. And there was just so much that my parents could handle. And Eric is fundamental in our business. For me, it has been a struggle to keep up. Well, not really a struggle. It's just that because I'm a student, and that's another testimony because I wasn't really planning on to keep studying. But the thing is that because of school, I can't be at work as much as I would love to. But when I'm on break, I work as much as I can. And when I don't have homework, I'm at the shop as much as I can. And I've learned a lot, but I think that Eric has been my mentor in a lot of the things that he has learned. And I've been trying to take a lot of things, like a lot of responsibilities off his shoulder because I've noticed that he has a lot to take care of. So I deal with customers now. And I think that that's also what my major has helped me to accomplish. But I talk to like serious people, like in serious positions sometimes. And I'm so blessed that I can have a chance and opportunity to help my parents this way as well. And know that when the time is right, they will retire and we will be able to handle things to continue on. Wow. Yeah. And our employees, they always joke about that. They're always like, well, I can't wait till Eric is treating me to some Starbucks. Well, I can't wait when it's my birthday and Kim sings me a happy birthday song or something like that. Like we always joke around, but they know that they're going to stick around for us for the long run. Because honestly, I think we've been able to nurture a good environment in our workplace. And yeah, like I understand what you were saying about pouring your heart out when you're about to clock out. I know what that is like. So
sometimes that goes further than a paycheck. When you can build relationships and friendships, that's where loyalty comes from. And I feel like this is like on the business side of things, right? Sometimes people tend to think, well, I pay them and they should love me because I pay them. And it's like, no, you pay them because they do the work. It's a transactional thing. But the loyalty, the love that you can build, the relationship you can build, that goes outside of the scope of work. That's relationships. That's just like you said, building up, nurturing that. And when people are loyal to you, they're going to stay loyal to you, not because you give them something, not because there's something in return. It's just because they want what's on the inside, things that it's not monetary, things that are not physical.
Like I've met grandmas and mothers of our employees. Like I've hung out with their kids too. Like they've been over at our house. So it's that type of relationship that we built with them.
That's awesome.
Which I think in part is not necessarily being a good Christian, but it's learning and following what the Bible has commanded us to do.
Yeah. To go and to make disciples. And I think we talked about that a lot right in the podcast, where discipleship is not just, hey, come to my house, I'm going to read the Bible to you and I'm going to tell you what it means. Bible studies are cool. They're great. I think they're fundamental in your faith. But when it comes to discipleship, it's about when everything's out the way and you're just breaking bread and you're just hanging out and now you show your true colors of what you are on the inside. The characteristics are the Christ-like and that sort of stuff. But when you start to see that just come through and it's genuine, that's when it's long lasting.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I wanted to share my favorite verse. It's in Romans 8, 9:16. I'll read it in English, but honestly, guys, it's so much better in Spanish. So this is the Passion Translation. It says, "Again, this proves that God's choice doesn't depend on how badly someone wants it or tries to earn it, but it depends on God's kindness and mercy." And in Spanish it says, "No es el que quiere ni el que corre, sino que Dios que tiene misericordia." And to me, what I've lived that. So that's why I cherish it so much, because it's not like we were asking for a business. And yes, God did give my dad visions of like what the company was going to look like, and even what warehouse we were going to rent out, because that's another testimony. My dad has seen the shop way before we were there.
Oh, wow.
And I have family members that have a lot of skill in the things that we do, but like you're saying, their kids wouldn't really support them, or their family members wouldn't really be there. So even though they had the skill and maybe the resources, they couldn't take off. And it wasn't because they weren't good enough. It was just not what God's plan or intent was with them. And that's why it resonates with me so much, because coming from a different country, and for us to provide jobs for other people and be of a blessing to this nation too, and in our church and our community. So it's like, in so many ways, I think that this verse applies to a lot of things, and that's why I hold it close to my heart.
Amen. I guess to kind of wrap it up, what if you could give any like advice or tips or anything like that, along this topic, what would it be?
To trust in the Lord, and truly, if you have a dream, if you desire something, just put it in His hands, and everything will be taken care of.
Amen. Any closing remarks?
I like what she said. My thing that I would add on to what she just said is, once you pray about it, once you ask for it, put your head down and go to work. There's no need to like talk about it and tell everyone your plans. Not everybody needs to know what plans you have or what goals you have in mind. Just put your head down. If you're going to say it to those really close to you, that the ones that you know are going to support you. Like, one thing that I think is beautiful that you mentioned was that it wasn't for all those other families, right? But the fact that you guys work together as a family, it's crazy to say, but most people will tell you, oh, don't ever work with your family. It's the worst thing you can do, But to hear that you guys are even closer now, just because you guys are basic, columns that your parents are using to build up the business, and you guys are there to like wholeheartedly to do it, that in itself is impressive. So sometimes you don't have to talk too much. Just say it once so someone can hold you accountable, and then get to work. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm gonna say this is not as spiritual as you guys. I think, and I've seen this quite a lot, where it's like the richest people don't dress like the richest people.
Yeah.
But the broke people,
Yep,
they dress like if they had money, and they were right from head to toe, covered in name brands, and their fit is thousands of dollars, but they got zero in the bank.
Yeah.
Versus the like mega rich who look like they buy their shirts from Target or something, and their fit is $17.
Yeah, facts.
They have millions and millions or billions in the bank, right? So don't let materialistic things or brand things like define who you are. A car is still a car,
Yep.
whether it has a Mercedes logo or it's a Toyota logo. You know,
Mhm.
if it crashes, it's still gonna break down.
Definitely.
Just the parts are more expensive, to be honest, on one of them, right? So don't let that like it's okay to have goals, it's okay to have dreams and want to make money. Who doesn't want to make money?
Facts.
But don't let that be your motivation. Like just make money and step over people that you're burning bridges with, and then later on you're gonna need them, and then they're not gonna want to be there for you because you hurt them along the way.
Yeah.
Or to serve too. Like keep you from serving. That's another aspect.
That's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big. I tell people all the time that want to go see houses on Sunday, I'm like, listen, Sunday after this time, because I'm gonna be at church. Or Fridays, or when we had Bible studies on Saturdays, I was like, up to this time I can, but after this I have Bible study, and I'm real about it. Like I don't tell them, I have another commitment, or I just can't, right? Because clients are clients, bro. They're gonna think, oh, this guy is lazy, or he doesn't want to put in work. I'll find somebody. People respect that. Listen, I have Bible study to go to, or I have church to go to. Or they'll call me, hey, I can't answer. I'm at church right now. They're like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry. I'll call you as soon as I get out.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's one of the biggest things too. I actually really like that, and not being religious about it, but because like you're going there to serve, you want to be intentional with your time.
Yeah.
Again, like what's the point of having dinner with your family if you're going to be on your phone or talking or you're not fellowshipping.
Yeah. It's not like the quantity, it's the quality of what you're delivering. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, so Kim, we appreciate you being here and sharing
very much
all that you had. Eric, disappointed in you, bro.
Next one.
No, but
next one I'm dragging you over here.
next night, yeah, we're picking him up and bringing him. No, we appreciate everybody that tunes in always.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for sharing and liking and subscribing. Continue to do that. I'm gonna steal Fern's line and say hit that notification bell so you guys know when we drop the videos.
That's my line.
That's my line. And thank you guys for tuning in again. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Yep.
Kim, you good?
This pump.
Bye everyone.